I think the Rangers' playoff odds might be Schrodinger's cat because no one can tell if they're alive or dead.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a criminally addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about this weekend sweep, some really devastating injury news for the Texas Rangers, and maybe the best pitch series I've ever seen from a Texas Rangers squad. Before we get into all of that, this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Master tournament ends October 31st, 2025. Now, on Friday's show, after the Rangers lost 3 out of 4 in Kansas City, after losing 2 out of 3 in Toronto, right when the Rangers thought, oh, maybe things are going right. What was their best win, their biggest comeback of the season on Monday of last week against the Diamondbacks, it has been an absolute free fall for this team. From just barely out of the playoff hunt to what looked like absolutely irredeemably no chance of salvaging their playoff hopes. I know we're still a little bit over a month away from the postseason, and at that point we were a month and a half away from the postseason, but it felt pretty dire. It felt pretty, condemning the way they lost those 2 games in the final 2 games of the series against Arizona. It was just like, okay, bullpen implosion, nothing's going right. Even after that miracle comeback win to help Nathan Eovaldi and salvage that game, it was just a whole big fat pile of nothing. Then you pile it on with that series in Toronto, which was awful, the series in Kansas City, which so many stupid losses, so many winnable games lost, and you thought heading into this series, well, you need at least a sweep, and then you need another sweep, and then you probably need a third sweep just for good measure to kind of keep those playoff hopes alive, because the Cleveland Guardians were still ahead of the Rangers in the just outside the playoff picture heading into this weekend. And the Rangers needed a sweep to pass them by half a game. And that's exactly what this Texas Rangers team did. That is what they did. They swept the Cleveland Guardians with 3 incredible wins, and only one of them was particularly close. A comeback, walk-off, jock-off victory on Friday in a game that felt all too familiar until it didn't feel familiar at all. In about the span of 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, it took for the Rangers to walk it off in the bottom of the 9th inning from the time that Wyatt Langford stretched what was surely a single for anybody else in baseball outside of maybe Elly De La Cruz into a double in just a daring bit of base running. Then immediately, first pitch, Corey Seager turns it around for a game-tying single. Because the throw has to go all the way through, Corey Seager, being the smart baseball player he does, he walks all the way to second base. Joc Pederson gets a fastball in the middle of the zone that he can handle off of an incredibly tough reliever in Cade Smith. It's been a tough year for him since the Guardians have lost their closer to allegedly betting confusion. We'll just call it that for now, when they had the best closer in all baseball, who is having also an up and down season, which again, I don't understand how the Cleveland Guardians are still in it at this point. They are now 2-8 in their last 10 games. They seem to be in an absolute free fall, because outside of those 3 runs they scored, basically 2 of which were in the span of 3 batters, 4 pitches. Because this game turned on its head twice in an incredibly quick span. Once from Hobie Milner having just a really rough outing, hitting a batter on the first pitch, and then just taking a couple more pitches, a single, runner at first and second, and then first pitch, bunt single, bases are loaded with no outs. Rangers have a 1-run lead. At that point, Hobie Milner's already done. Phil Maton comes in and gives up 2 runs on a double on a ball that just barely squeaks inside the line on a pitch that was right down the middle to the best hitter in this Guardians lineup. Heck, I'd say the only one of 2 good hitters in this Cleveland Guardians lineup. And it felt like, okay, Well, that's a 1-run deficit. Then credit to Phil Maton. He gets out of it. He strikes out the next 3 batters that he faces, doesn't give up any more damage. And the Rangers are still in it at that point. And also credit to Robert Garcia, who comes in and works a shutout top of the 9th inning to give the Rangers a chance to come back in the bottom of the 9th inning. But this was an incredible weekend for the offense, an incredible weekend for not only Adolis Garcia coming back off the IL and homering in his first game back, an incredible week for just basically everybody in this lineup. I mean, Jonah Heim having a pretty good weekend. Cody Freeman having his first career big league home run, an incredible moment for him. Josh Jung having a really, really great weekend, a homer for him as well. Wyatt Langford, just an exceptional weekend. He has been on an absolute heater as of late. I'll talk about him in just a second, but I want to talk about Zeke Duran, who in what might be his last chance as a Texas Ranger has been taking full advantage of it. Still somehow doesn't have a homer on the season. I don't really understand how that's possible, but it doesn't matter. He was awful in April and March and May, and June was better, was not good in July. And in August, he has been one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball, hitting .378 with a .404 on base percentage and an .871 OPS in that span. He has been absolutely on fire lately, and it's a good thing because the Rangers are going to ride that hot hand, and he's going to get a lot of playing time down the stretch because we might not see Marcus Semien in a regular season game for the rest of the season. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to talk about Wyatt Langford having just an incredible run right now. He has been absolutely on a heater, 14 game on base streak. And in those 14 games, he has been just downright aflame, making great defensive plays, offensive plays, base running plays. I mean, he had 2 stolen bases. He stole second and third. The game on Sunday didn't end up scoring despite getting all the way to third base. I mean, he has been hitting the home run. He's been stretching singles into doubles. He's been playing incredible defense out there in center field, where he will probably be the everyday center fielder from now until the end of the season. But this is kind of what we saw a little bit from Wyatt Langford last year. It was right around this time. It was maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe it's around when he started this 13 game on base streak, but it was right around the middle of August. And, he had won AL Rookie of the Month in June. He looked incredible in that month. Then July really, really humbled him. And the first part of August also humbled Wyatt Langford. We were sitting about 6 weeks left in the season. Wyatt Langford said, "I've been bad." He was on pace for, a 2.5, 3 more season as a rookie, a guy who'd played all of 50 games or so in the minor leagues about less than a year after he was drafted. And he's like, I've had a bad rookie year. I've been bad. And then he goes on an absolute tear for the final 6 weeks of the season, wins AL Player of the Month in September. He is just absolutely incredible, has a near 1,000 OPS for that month, and just goes off, playing incredible defense in left field and center field. His defense has gotten better and been super consistent this year. Right now, in 110 games so far this season, he's got 18 stolen bases, 19 home runs, a 4.4 baseball reference WAR. So he's on pace for at least a 5-WAR season, if not a 6-WAR season. If he goes on anywhere near the heater he had last year in the final month of the season, this is going to be a 6-WAR player in his second year, and he's got a 775 OPS. The on-base percentage is better than last year. The slugging percentage is better than last year. The batting average is just down 5 points, but he's been more aggressive on the base pass, hasn't been quite as successful. The strikeouts have been up for sure this year. The swing and miss has been more a part of his game than it was last year. Not quite as many called third strikes, but still more than you would like. He's walking a whole lot more. He's playing incredible defense. He's still incredibly fast. He's still an aggressive player in general, and a guy who is a tone setter, whose aggressiveness in that 9th inning, that set the tone. Had he just been content to take a single, even if he stole second base, I mean, that puts things in a completely different perspective. Corey Seager, an aggressive first pitch hitter, sets him up where he's got a runner in scoring position, the tying run in scoring position in that 9th inning, and all he has to do is just belt that ball into the outfield, and Wyatt Langford will easily score. And he did. And because Corey Seager is such a smart bait runner, he gets there to second base in that game and ends up scoring on a Joc Pederson double, which maybe Corey Seager would have scored on that Joc Pederson double anyway because it was hit so incredibly hard. I don't know entirely for sure, but it wasn't just them. I mean, Rowdy Tellez had an incredible weekend, a multi-homer game, and also walked a couple of times in that game. I mean, like I said, Adolis Garcia coming off the IL. Josh Smith is hopefully starting to turn around. It's been a little bit rough for him. Zeke Duran, Josh Jung, all the Joshes, everybody in this lineup up and down, and Joc Pederson as well, being on a much better streak as of late. If he looks like this down the stretch, then who knows what this team can do. And if he looks anywhere near like he did this weekend, and the pitching staff is anywhere close to what they did this weekend, I don't know how many teams are beating them from now until the end of this season. It'll probably be a few, but this weekend was incredible for the pitching. We talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. It's time to fuel up and turn it on with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings back the iconic taste of a golf course favorite non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra power to push through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse favorite you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. So now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy Snap and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes Master Tournament ends October 31st, 2025. Shout out to the Everydayers being Locked On Rangers, your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, we'll be back and talking about first game of this series, a big one for the Rangers, Jacob deGrom versus Jose Soriano of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And hopefully I'll be back for all 5 episodes this week. Sorry for missing a couple last week. I was just dealing with sickness. I am still on the better end of the sickness train, but last week was tough. Honestly, heading to that bottom of the 9th inning, I missed the first couple innings of that Rangers game on Friday, and I turn it on, and the Rangers immediately blow that game. And I think, okay, well, what a great start for Nathan Eovaldi. Absolutely ruined. What a nice chance to kind of salvage some kind of respect for yourselves this weekend. Absolutely ruined. And I was about to turn off. My girlfriend said, "Hey, just keep it on. Just keep it on. Who knows what they'll do? Maybe they'll do something nice." And you know what? They did. And what they did leading up to that 9th inning was incredibly nice. The starting pitching this weekend was one of the best starting pitching performances from a trio of starters I think I've ever seen in a Texas Rangers uniform. I mean, just back to back to back. Incredible starts. They combined for 21 innings pitched, just 10 hits allowed, only 1 run, only 2 walks, and 27 strikeouts. The fewest strikeouts any one of these guys had was 8, and that was Merrill Kelly on Sunday, in an incredible start for Merrill Kelly. Nathan Eovaldi had 9 strikeouts on Friday in 7 innings of 1-run ball. The only run that any of these starting pitchers gave up the entirety of this weekend was because of a bloop double that just fell in the Mariana Trench between the left fielder, the shortstop, and the third baseman, and it was Carlos Santana. So even though it fell in, it was possible because it was Carlos Santana running that maybe they could have thrown it out. But alas, that was the only run that was surrendered. And because of those 7 innings that Nathan Eovaldi worked, if he gets back, he needs to work up just a little bit more. You need to pitch basically more than 5 innings per start, because to be a qualifier for the ERA title, you have to pitch at least as many innings as your team has games. And with those 7 innings, Nathan Eovaldi got himself back to the top of that leaderboard. He has been exceptional this season with a 1.73 ERA. Which again, whenever he gets back up to, if he has 7 innings in this next start and 8 innings in the start after that, then he will be able to stay amongst the league leaders. But basically, you just got to pitch more than 5 innings, because once every 5 games, more than 5 innings, you see how the math is mathing up in there. But a 1.73 ERA in 130 innings, 129 strikeouts. This guy has just been so incredibly good. I have been so impressed with Nathan Eovaldi. I'm running out of things to say. I mean, him adding something new to that curveball and making himself a true 4-pitch pitcher as opposed to a 3 2/3 pitch pitcher, because the curveball was fine before. It was a solid pitch, but it was not something he could throw anywhere in the mix of how often he's throwing his four-seam fastball, his cutter, and his splitter. The slider is still there for just a kind of a show-me pitch, I think, just to have a little bit of something against right-handers, a little bit something extra against right-handers in his back pocket if he needs it and if the cutter is not working on a given day. But he has just been so darn good, and he wasn't even the best pitcher this weekend. He wasn't even the best starting pitcher on the Texas Rangers this weekend. That honor belongs to none other than Jack freaking Leiter with the game of his life. Oh my goodness, I have been waiting for a start like this from Jack Leiter. And we've even seen it. It's not just because Jack was given 10 runs of support, although that definitely helped. It let him be a little bit more aggressive. It let him go after these guys just that much more. But we've seen him in big games. Remember that game against Minnesota, where he was spotted a bajillion runs and he couldn't quite get through 5 innings? That was a tough game. That was a learning experience for Jack of how do you actually, go at these hitters without just giving up hard contact. You be aggressive without being too aggressive. Learning from the likes of Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom of how to be that guy. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, a career high 10 strikeouts, and most importantly, 0 walks. This was exactly what you want to see from Jack Leiter, completely putting it all together in this one. Now, is he just going to go and do this for the rest of time? No, absolutely not. That's not how these things work. But seeing him be able to be aggressive, be able to mix pitches, and you go and you look at the swings and misses. I mean, he got 10 strikeouts. You think, oh, well, he must have had a bazillion swings and misses. That wasn't the case. He only had a 20% whiff rate, only 9 whiffs in his 93 pitches and 44 swings. But the called strikes and the called strikes with the fastball, that is the key for Jack Leiter. If Jack Leiter can spot up that fastball on the glove side, the left side, if you're looking at the plate from a right-handed pitcher's perspective, the left side, the glove side, inside to lefties, away to righties. That has been the big bugaboo for Jack Leiter since he made his professional debut. It has been something he has struggled with mightily. He just has not been able to do it consistently. And when he can do it and hitters have to respect that, then they start to chase when he starts to yank the ball a little bit away to right-handed hitters or inside to left-handed hitters. It still wasn't precise. Still, the command, throwing it in the absolute spot where he wanted to, wasn't really happening. There were still some big misses, but a lot of them were still in the zone, and the control of just staying in the zone was there. He was in the zone with 57% of his pitches, and his stuff is so darn good that it plays well in the zone. He was able to mix in the sinker a little bit less than I would have liked, but hey, it still works. 7 sinkers, 45 four-seam fastballs, 48% four-seam fastball percentage. I mean, still primarily using that changeup that has been just such an effective weapon for him. Even though he's not getting a whole lot of swings and misses, it sets up that four-seam fastball better. Curveball, he's able to get 6 called strikes on that, a 50% whiff rate on the slider, which if I'm nitpicking, he probably could have used a little bit more, but he didn't need to. He was feeling it. He knew the pitch mix. He knew the pitch mix that would work. And, with him working with, I believe it was Heim in that game. It was Jonah Heim behind the dish in that game, just living on the corners, getting swings and misses when he needed to, and not beating himself, not, getting to 2 strikes and then trying to be too perfect. He said, oh, I'm at 2 strikes. Let me do the same thing that I did to get to 2 strikes to finish this guy off, because that's good enough. That's good enough. It's a little bit of what Yu Darvish struggled with early on in his big league career and then figured out is that, oh, I don't have to make the perfect pitch with 2 strikes to strike this guy out. And sometimes when I get to 2 strikes and I make a pretty good pitch, I'm not going to strike a guy out. And occasionally, with as good a stuff as Jack has, occasionally when you throw 99, it can get teed off for a solo homer. But a solo homer once every 15, 16, 17, 18 batters is much better than 4 walks every 9 innings. That is a much better trade-off. And now that it seems like he is learning how to take advantage of that and knowing that, okay, occasionally giving up a single or a double or loud contact here and there, because sometimes loud contact is on the ground. Sometimes loud contact is an out because you have an incredible defense behind you, Jack Leiter. And you can just trust that and just go at these guys and let it freaking rip. And you look at the overall body of work this year from Jack Leiter, and this is not an insignificant workload. 23 starts so far this year, 115 and 2/3 innings, and a 3.81 ERA. This is a great year for Jack Leiter, and he's still got probably 4 or maybe 5 starts left on the season. This is an incredible building block against a team that was very much in the heat of contention. Now, again, they're in the midst of a skid, and where does good pitching start and bad hitting end, or vice versa? It's hard to tell, but this was a great start for Jack Leiter, who wasn't the only great start of this weekend. I'm going to talk about Merrill Kelly, who had an incredible weekend, finishing off a desperately needed sweep for a team that is going to have its work cut out for it going down the stretch. Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. You're looking at playoff odds, and the Rangers for making the playoffs have already been taken off the board on FanDuel, but to win the AL West, they are still very long shot winners at plus 3,000. Astros favorite at minus 190. Mariners at plus 145. The Rangers are, I believe, 6.5 games out as we speak of that AL West crown. So still possibly in it with 6 games. 6.5 games out with 6 games against the Astros in the month of September. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Shout out to the Air making Locked On Rangers first listen every single day after every single game. Jeff Biggs is with you with the Locked On Rangers postcast, coming to you live, reacting after all 162 to be in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, I thought this team was dead. I thought this team was super duper dead, but it seems like they might not be. And 2 games, winning a series against the Cleveland Guardians was fine. It was good. It was needed, but really, they just could not afford to lose basically at all this weekend. And credit to Merrill Kelly for stepping up and stepping out in a huge way with his best start as a member of the Texas Rangers. Could have been a little bit better had they pulled him after 7 innings. But I got the urge, because the last couple of games, it felt like Merrill Kelly could have gone just that little bit further, because the pitch count has been down. He's been economical with his pitch count in the last couple of starts. But this was a great start. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. He was just mowing down this lineup in what ended up being the second consecutive shutout for the Rangers against the Guardians this weekend. I mean, the Guardians scored 3 whole runs the entirety of this weekend. They scored 1 run on an RBI double that scored Carlos Santana, who just reached base on that bloop double. They scored 2 runs on that double by Jose Ramirez after 3 batters reached in the span of 4 pitches against Hobie Milner that Phil Maton ended up letting score. That's it. That's all the scoring that the Guardians did this weekend, because in part of Jack Leiter being incredible. I mean, mowing these Guardians hitters down when he did not have a large lead, and Merrill Kelly, who did not have a lead until he got out there for the 5th inning, just keeping himself in this game, and not just to keep himself in this game, but actively dominating this Guardians team. There wasn't a single Guardians base runner in scoring position until that 8th inning. That's how long it took to get a single runner to second base. And of course, they didn't end up scoring. This was a great game from Merrill Kelly, who's been pretty open about saying, hey, these guys traded for me. These guys gave up real prospects to go and get me, and I have not been good enough. And you know what? He kind of hasn't been until this most recent game. I mean, the last start that he had wasn't his fault the Rangers lost. Even the last couple of starts haven't been bad. They haven't been great. I mean, the first 2 starts that he had were a little bit tough. And against Seattle, that was a little bit tough, could have been a little bit better, but not a bad start by any means. Against Philadelphia, that was a bad start for sure. But I mean, 2 runs in 6 innings against Arizona on August 13th. that's a quality start. That's more than a quality start. Last start out against Kansas City, 6 innings, 2 runs, both of them on solo homers. Pretty solid bit of work there for him. Then in this one, he said, you know what? That's not good enough. I need to be even freaking better. Goes 7 shutty and is just incredibly good and gets some timely hits from this offense, including a 2-run massive bomb by Rowdy Tellez, who has just been so darn good for this Rangers team. I mean, he has been such a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much, Seattle, for just cutting that man loose. And the Rowdy boy has an 886 OPS as a member of the Texas Rangers. 25 games, 4 home runs, 13 ribbies, a 353 on base percentage, and slugging 533. Now, with Jake Berger missing some time, we're still getting more Rowdy Tellez. This team does have kind of basically 2 guys that are just first base DH only types who don't hit lefties, but for now are hitting incredibly well. Now, maybe the Rangers end up trying to, bring back Rowdy Tellez, but even if they don't, I mean, what they've gotten out of him this year after a guy who's just basically a waiver claim has been incredible. And Joc Pederson getting his first homer off a lefty in years was absolutely incredible in this one, just to get that much more breathing room for this Texas Ranger squad. And Wyatt Langford, of course, having himself such a great day, reached on a walk and then stole second and stole third. And then with 2 runners in scoring position and possibly getting out of that inning without adding more than just the 2 runs, he just bloops a single over the second baseman into right field, scores both runners, gives the Rangers a 4-0 lead, which was already more than they would need. Joc adds an insurance homer in the 7th, just for good measure. Danny Coulomb comes in and works a shutout inning there. Hobie Miller comes in, redeems himself, works a 1-2-3 inning, getting a double play to erase the leadoff single that he allowed there. And the Rangers shut out the Guardians again, which the Rangers desperately need every single win, because it's going to get tougher from now on. I mean, the Rangers do not have their stalwart second baseman. This is the first time since 2017 that Marcus Semien has been placed on the IL. He has a broken bone in his foot. He's going to be out a minimum of 4 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks is the timeline for return. And 4 weeks puts him back with just a week left in this regular season. And the Rangers got the worst news that they could expect after Evan Carter got hit with a pitch in a game that the Rangers ended up losing. A left-on-left hit by pitch reached base and stayed in the game for about an inning, and then it started to swell up, and they started to see, oh boy, this is not going well. Evan Carter suffers a broken right wrist after getting hit on the wrist by a pitch in Kansas City. I swear, what is it with these games? The Rangers end up losing star players for a long time. It seems like Evan Carter's probably done for the year with a broken wrist. Maybe he comes back in, I don't know, if the Rangers make the World Series, which again, that feels like such an incredible long shot. But those wrist injuries, we saw it last year with Josh Jung. They take a long time to heal. Now, thankfully, this was on the outer part of his wrist, not the inner part of his wrist like Josh Jung had last year, but still, it's probably going to be the entirety of the season. Bruce Bochy said he was just heartbroken for Evan Carter. This is just such a freak injury for a guy who was really finding his stride. I mean, after missing so much time the last couple of years, mostly with back injuries, he comes back and even missing multiple different stints with back injuries and just wasn't himself heading into this season. Works himself back to health. I mean, does okay. And then, as soon as he starts to find form again, he deals with back spasms and he comes back and he has been on fire as of late, putting some quality at bats, playing some quality defense in center field, running quality on the bases. And he's done for the year. I mean, just an incredibly brutal stretch for the Rangers. And it looks like they looked like they were maybe going to get some help back in their bullpen, because I think we're about at the 6-week stretch where Chris Martin would have been coming back from that calf strain. But this is now the second time he has tried to throw a bullpen and could not complete it. So the Rangers aren't getting that help from Chris Martin anytime soon. Maybe he'll try again in about a week or so, but it's going to be a minute. And you think, how different would this team look? How many of those losses that the Rangers had because the bullpen just blew it, would they not have blown it if Chris Martin was there? If they had just one more super reliable arm in very, very clutch situations or save situations like we've seen Chris Martin do well in his entire career. Alas, that was not the case. The Rangers have put themselves in such a big hole, but I feel weird saying this, but they're not entirely dead. They're at 66 and 66. They are 6.5 games out of the AL West, which the Mariners have been in a tailspin as of late. The Astros have been pretty bad as of late. The Rangers have too, but if they continue to go on a long winning streak, heck, you basically just need to sweep these next two series, at least win both of them. The very minimum, you need to win both of them, probably sweep both of them, at least sweep one of these series against the Angels and against the A's. These are teams you are better than. These are teams you need to beat. These are teams who are not doing well. The A's are doing fine, but the Angels are in a tailspin as of right now, and you need to take full advantage. Rangers are 6.5 games out. They have 6 games against the Astros, who they do have a winning record against this year in the final month of this season. It is not an impossible schedule in the final 5 weeks of this season. You got 3 against the Angels, 3 against the A's in that weird stadium. Then you got 3 in Arizona against a team that just broke your hearts and ripped. I guarantee this team wants revenge against Arizona after what they did in their house. But you look at the final month of the season, you got 6 games against the Astros. You got 3 games on the road against the Mets, who have been really up and down. 3 games against the Guardians to finish this season, who they just dominated. You got the Twins and the Marlins, who are not particularly competitive right now. And then you'll have 3 games at home against the Brewers, who have been the best team in all of baseball from the 8th to the 10th. Those are going to be some incredibly trying games. And the Rangers just need to keep stacking these wins. And I don't know if they're done this season or not. I think so. I still think so. The overwhelming odds point to them missing the postseason. Granted, their postseason odds jumped from about 10% heading into this weekend to now 20.4% according to Baseball Reference. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team. They make absolutely 0 sense. But you know what? Maybe that's fine. Maybe it's fine just sitting back and watching, okay, what are they going to do? What are these group of goofy baseball boys going to do this week? Are they going to break my hearts? Are they going to poop the bed? Are they going to do something memorable and heroic, like going on a run like we have never seen? Because if they make the postseason, that would be an incredible run, an incredible accomplishment. And I don't know what team would stop them if they have this level of pitching and if they have a series like they had this weekend in the postseason, which they're capable of, but they also might not do. Either way, I'm just enjoying the ride these final 5 weeks. I am not trying to understand this team because they are beyond the possibility of understanding. And you know what? That might be just fine. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.